Gurl.
Girl.
Hi, Colleen.
Hi, Kelly.
How you going?
So good. It's
We're already
going so good. I'm excited for this episode because it's giving who doesn't want to learn about themselves.
I probably want to learn about myself a little bit too much.
Yeah, same. I don't know. It helps you function in life, and you're like, oh my god, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are gonna do like kind of a deep dive on Enneagram. You know what that is? It's one of the many personality typing systems out there. We're also going to talk about astrology, which I know very little about because I only know mine really and hers.
The ones that matter.
The ones that matter, literally. But I kind of wanted to ground this topic in the general concept of just having vehicles that we use to understand ourselves and other people as well. But I think for most people, it usually starts with wanting to understand more about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think maybe this isn't every person in the world, but the people that get it, the first time that you stumble across something where you're reading something that's supposedly reporting you to you, and you're like, oh my God.
What is this?
How do they know?
Literally.
Like this report, this personality test report or this astrology report or whatever is telling me more about me than I knew.
Yes.
And it's accurate.
Yeah.
When it deeply hits like that, I feel maybe this isn't everyone, but like it's so addicting to me.
It is, because it's like, tell me more. Tell me, girl. Remember literally on our tripping episode in Kelowna when we just put on Astro Finesse and we just watched astrology.
Shout
and
out.
We're like, okay, this is your house. Let's watch this. Let's watch Pisces. Yes. Let's watch Taurus. Let's watch Venus.
And the whole time we were just sitting there like popcorn.
Yes.
And we were like, oh my God,
that's me.
Nothing is better. It feels so good.
It does.
And I think for me, I've recognized that a lot of it comes from growing up feeling very misunderstood. That's one of my core wounds.
Yeah.
I feel like is feeling so misunderstood, not just like overall, although that was sort of like, you know, the alienation I feel like followed me a lot in my childhood. I felt very alienated from my family. I really struggled fitting in and making friends. But then also in like micro moments, I can think of like very small but very significant moments earlier on in my life where something happened and someone misinterpreted something that I said, or someone just misunderstood something that I did generally. And it was a really painful experience because maybe it led to a bad outcome, like it led to a rejection, or it led to an embarrassment of some sort, some kind of shameful moment.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've carried this burden of feeling so misunderstood my whole life that when I first discovered something that made me go like, oh my God, like I'm understandable.
Yeah.
Like you can actually explain it in words, who I am and why I do the things I do and why I am the way that I am. It felt so good.
Yeah. It's like someone sees me. I am not insane. And then it also helps like pinpoint like even why you act certain ways. And like even I feel like some of those things are like, I know like, which we'll get into like the Enneagram, it's like your inner world and you're like, how do they know? Like literally.
Yes. And something that you said reminded me also like just how important it is to learn the lesson of self-compassion.
Yes.
So I think in a world where we're taught to be so hard on ourselves and just to not like ourselves generally and to criticize ourselves for every little thing that we don't do perfectly, I think that when we have a system that helps us to understand this is why you've struggled with this your whole life, or this is why you keep getting into the same conflict with the same particular kind of person. You're like, oh, okay, so it's not something wrong with me. It's just something that's embedded in my personality that was bred off of something specific that happened to me when I was earlier. And in regards to personality, at least when it comes to astrology, it's a bit different because it's just because of the day that you were born. And I think there's something different there for different audiences. Like I'm definitely all in on both.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
I agree with both. And my idea of astrology that I usually tell people that are a little bit more skeptical, the way that I see it is that I don't know if we're ever going to get concrete evidence that the position of the moon and the stars when we were born has an effect on who we are as a person.
Yeah.
However, it's way more fun to believe that it does.
Yes. And there's no way that they would know, because there's literally this person at work that was like, he's a Virgo, and he, like, Virgos, very cerebral, logical, like think like black and white, like it's giving mainly Enneagram 1. And he said he stumbled, and this is how we got into this conversation, which I love, how every time I talk to people, it always leads to like astrology or spiritual things, and I'm like, I am all for this. Yes. But he said he stumbled across it like a few months ago, and he was so skeptical. And he said one day he just happened to read it, and then he went a deep dive, and he was like, it was so accurate that it made him like not believe. Like, he's like, there's no way I couldn't believe it, because how do they know, right? Until this day, he's still skeptical of like other things. Like if I'm literally like, yeah, like there's a different dimension and portals where fairies leave, he'd be like, you're insane, Colleen. But like astrology, yeah, I'm there. Yeah.
That is so refreshing hearing from a guy, particularly.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
Like, to hear that level of open-mindedness is just so nice.
Yes. Yeah.
The stereotype is that men don't believe in astrology and women do, but that's not necessarily true. No. Where we learned about astrology was a man.
Yes.
Astro Finesse on YouTube. But
yeah.
I mean, I think generally that stereotype does stand a lot of the time. And where I think a lot of people are going to, like, even the most skeptically minded people might have a better intro into this world of ways to understand yourself is more through personality typing, because it's not based on something magical that happened when you were born on this day and the stars and the planets were in this position. It's usually, at least with the Enneagram I can speak on because I know that one the most, it's based on your upbringing. It's based on concrete lived experiences that you've had that have reliably shaped you into a particular type of person, which is a lot easier to buy into for more skeptically minded people.
Yes, than the stars and the moons and stuff, even though it is accurate. Right. And also, I feel like finding out, I can understand how when people see their astrology, they're like, well, this doesn't sound like me. And I understood that after, I think it was only a couple of years ago, after finding like your rising and your moon make a big difference. And I'm like, oh, like that was life-changing for me. And this year I found out I am literally a Pisces rising, and I was like, my whole entire life makes so much sense.
Identity crisis also, though, because you're like, wait, this whole time she thought she was a Taurus rising.
Yes.
And we're all like, that makes so much sense. You're the most Taurus person.
Yes.
Her sun is also Taurus. Yes. So we're like, it makes so much sense. You give Taurus.
Yes.
Exude Taurus all around. And I remember before you actually found out that you were a Pisces rising, I remember you saying something about like, oh, I'm going to ask my dad for my actual birth time because I don't actually know what it is. I just guessed.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yes.
And I remember you saying that and thinking in my mind, there's no way you're not a Taurus
rising.
There's no way you're not. But then when you told me that you were actually a Pisces rising, I was like, wait, that's the only one that makes sense.
I was like, oh, and my entire, and I love my water signs. I attract so many water signs, love them. And probably because they're like kind of like sister to earth, and they say like water get well like acquainted with earth signs. But like my whole entire life, I think growing up, like one of the things that I learned was to how to like repress my emotions. And I actually didn't see myself as an emotional individual or someone that was like very, just like so in tune with their emotions up until like after my spiritual awakening. And then I had all these things come up, and then like just meditating, it was like, well, it makes sense why I chose like the family and the dad that I did, because like I needed to learn how to like ground that in and not being so volatile. But I feel like it was one extreme or the other. So like learning that, I'm like, oh my God, this is where like the emotion comes from, the empathy comes from, like, the intuition, the Pisces dreaming mind.
It's all making sense.
I love it so much.
And I really relate to the experience that you mentioned of not relating to it earlier in life and then coming to realize it later on that, wait, this actually is who I am.
Yes.
I wonder if other people relate to that too.
Yeah.
It might be an aspect of just like actually coming into who you are, because when you're younger, you have no idea who you are. You're just kind of performing your way through life because you learn that you have to do that in order to survive and all of that. So you don't really start to come into yourself, I think, for some people never, but at least like until around the time that your frontal lobe develops, I think you really start to know who you are. And I remember being really young, like in my teenage years, and looking at Pisces horoscopes and being like, that's not me. Oh my God. That's not me at all. Now I read Pisces and I'm like, nothing could be more me. Literally. Nothing could be more me.
Oh my God. They also say like you're supposed to look at like your rising in astrology too, like when you're looking at like the monthly horoscopes and stuff, because it makes sense. So I started doing that and I'm like, wait, why does a lot of times the Pisces one make sense in the Taurus? Like it's
I heard that too, and I think it's because with your rising sign, what your rising sign means, it's whatever sign rules your first house, and there are 12 houses. And so your first house is your rising sign, and then it goes in order from there. So whatever the next sign is in the zodiac would be the second house, and then the next sign in the zodiac is your third house, and it goes all the way through. And when people are getting like horoscope readings, it's having to do with what's happening in the stratosphere, in the ethers up there, what the planets are doing. And that's actually based on the houses. And so you don't actually read a horoscope based on your sun sign, because your sun sign could be in any of the houses. It doesn't give any context to what signs the other houses naturally are in. So you can't actually read a horoscope based on what's happening inside of them. If that makes sense. I don't know if I described that properly.
That does make sense. And I did hear something like that. But it is really crazy how like I do want to touch on what you said. Like you're not really going to know or resonate with these things until you're a little bit older, because you're still coming into yourself, right? Because I've even thinking like, if I like my whole entire life, I'm Taurus. If you would have told me I was an Aquarius moon, I probably would have spit in your face. I'm not gonna lie,
because you didn't have good experiences with Aquarius up until that point.
It's given. I would be like, no, this is the worst thing ever. Blah, blah, blah. And then now, like learning how I deal with emotions and internally, I was like, like.
Wait, let's actually explicitly state what our signs are.
Yes,
for the people listening.
Yes.
So we've already established Taurus sun.
And Pisces rising and Aquarius moon.
Let's also do Venus, because that one's a fun one. We can talk about what that is.
Yes, my Venus is in Taurus.
Also Taurus.
Yes, I love that.
What I think I know what Venus is, because I know it's all about like romance. It's a planet of love.
Yes.
So what does a Taurus Venus mean?
So having Taurus in your Venus is actually ruled by Taurus.
So it's at home.
It means so it's very easy for you to for example, even with your home, like everything about you like just exudes like luxury, but home and romance. Comfort. And it feels very much like you're literally at home with Venus, which means that like I know there's different houses that like you can manifest in and stuff like that, like you're part of fortune, but like specifically for Venus, like when you're leaning into like your Taurus Venus or whatever sign your Venus is in, it actually helps with like attracting love and stuff like that, which is when we're talking about like dressing up. Like if you're dressing up, like instead of dressing in your like rising sign, I would actually dress up. If you're looking ready for love, I would actually dress in like your Venus, because that's the house that like really rules that.
And for people that don't really know what that means, like there are ideas of dressing like the certain signs. Like each sign kind of exudes maybe like a color palette, fabrics, vibe. And you could just look up, like if you I don't know any better than anyone else. I would just Google like, what is a Pisces Venus dress like? That's literally as far as it goes. But in case someone had never heard of that before, I think it's good to know that it's just there's a vibe that you can curate and dress like, or do your hair like, and do your makeup like, to exude more of that energy.
Yes. I would go down the rabbit hole, because it is like the color palette, and then you can do that with your rising sign and your Venus, and like because why not be your most attractive self if you can do it?
And I say to dress like your rising sign, because your rising sign is like your most obvious self. It's the most like outward exterior version of yourself. It's like first impression, what people see, what people get when they first meet you. And so when you're dressing according to that, it just looks more harmonious, I think is the the idea behind it.
Yeah.
My signs, if you haven't picked up already, lots of Pisces in my chart. You've got a good mix because you've got Earth.
Yeah.
You've got 50% Earth.
Yes.
You've got a little bit of water, a little bit of air, no fire.
Yeah.
In those top
Thank
4.
God.
Yeah. So I think that's why we get along, because neither of us are fire.
Girl.
Yeah, I have 0 fire. I have 0 fire, 0 air, and 0 earth in my top 4. I am a quadruple water sign, which makes a lot of sense if you meet me.
I love it. We love it.
Very emotional, very, and I say chaotic lovingly. Like, I call myself chaotic. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just feel chaotic.
Yeah. Like, it's just, honestly, why I love the water signs is
it's real.
It's real, it's raw, and you just get what you see. Like, I'm like, how would you not love that? Like, you know what I mean?
I can't fake it if
people,
I tried.
Period. And some people may see it as intense, but I love every bit of it, because it's like, wow, like, these people are so cool, and they're so quirky, and they're in their cells, and they're so deep, and like, literally, and it's like, oh my God, I love this.
I'm glad you do. I also love the earth signs, because I need you to ground me, because I am nowhere to be found. Ever, at all times.
We talk about literally, so we literally go through like multiple voice notes where I think like this last few months there hasn't been enough crash outs, but I swear to God, there's like some months where it's like 1 week I'm crashing out, the next year crashing out.
Always.
There was one where Kelly was literally crashing out about school.
Like, so bad. Like, it's 0 to 100 for me.
And like, we literally therapize each other and stuff like that. So that one time she was like, if I cannot be a psychologist, just kill me now.
I was literally pleading with the universe on voice note to my best friend. I was and like, I wasn't joking. I was crying while I was saying it. Like, I was being so for real. I was like, if I'm not meant to be a psychologist in this lifetime, I don't want to be here anymore. Just kill me. Like, I meant it with my whole chest. I had to take it back, though. Universe, don't kill me. Please. Yeah, I want to stay. I want to stay. We've been so distracted. I didn't actually tell what my signs were yet.
Oh, yeah. Chaotic. Not
exactly. See, you don't even need to know. You already know already.
Oh my God.
I'm a Pisces sun. I'm also a Pisces Venus.
Yes.
So what is Pisces Venus? It's very like,
think like the best way, think like Roman vibes, like in the Roman days, like think like Greek culture.
So what would that mean about like love and romance for me if it's Pisces? What do you think?
I feel like it would mean that like when it comes to like an attraction level, you would actually need to like lean more into your feminine. So the man you would attract would need to be very grounded in their masculine, so that you can exude like literally like your Piscean like energy, right? Yeah.
The best relationships I had have definitely been more like when I've been grounded in my feminine energy, because my earlier relationships I was not, and I was kind of performing a lot of masculine energy because I didn't feel safe in my life. And it's weird how it plays out, but it genuinely does play out where like you end up attracting like the opposite to that. And so I feel like when I was in my masculine, I wasn't attracting the kind of stable, secure man that I would have actually wanted in an ideal world. Still distracted. Okay, so
that's okay. It's also very romantic. Like Pisces Venus is very romantic. So the person you need to be with is someone that can allow you to just kind of like idealize and be in your la la land and like be so in love with that. Like, like
we need to be lost in it.
Yes.
Like if you aren't obsessed with me, and if we aren't like merging souls the first time that we have a real conversation, then I'm bored.
Yeah, think like running on the beach, like naked by the water after you just made beautiful love and having like, and you're being fed. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it.
Future man out there, this is first date idea.
Take notes.
You're not first date.
What? Take you to Greece? Girl, keep him.
Flies me to Greece for a first date. That's the standard now. Let's go back to the question and answer we did in our last episode about the coffee date. Scratch my answer. If he's not taking you to Greece on the first date, he's not the one. If he's not feeding you fruit, if he's not putting your feet in in his mouth. No. If he's feeding you fruit and merging souls with you on the first
he's not
date,
the one.
he's not the one.
In-depth conversation, not the one.
Okay, so I'm a Pisces sun.
Let me stop talking. Pisces sun, Pisces Venus.
This is the vibe. This is exactly where I want to be. Okay, I'm a Pisces sun, I'm a Pisces Venus, and then I'm a Scorpio moon and rising.
Yes.
There we go.
We love, which honestly, Scorpio is the sister sign of Taurus, which I love attracting. I attract a lot of Scorpio, and I like depth because I feel like Taurus and Scorpios really see each other, and they literally like mirror the best things.
Yeah.
So I feel like you just feel so seen, like when you're with your sister sign. And a lot of people see that as like triggering, but not for me. Like I love Scorpios.
Scorpios, I think, are known for being really triggering.
Yeah.
And I do think I've had that reflected back to me, especially because my rising sign, the first thing you feel and sense from me is that intense, I guess, intimidating, or it can feel intimidating, like kind of dark, mysterious is the Scorpio energy. That's the first thing you see. It's also my moon sign, which is like past getting to know me, like the first impression. It's like when you really get to know me, it's even scarier and darker and it's even deeper.
I love it.
And so, I mean, I love it too. I wouldn't want to be any other way. But I think a lot of people that haven't done their work and haven't, that don't feel safe inside of themselves, a lot of people feel really vulnerable just being seen at such a minuscule level to how we enjoy being seen, right? And I do feel like I've had that interaction a lot of times where I don't know if I would say I've scared people off, but I kind of feel like I have.
Oh girl, I know I have, which honestly I love it, because if you're scared off, you're not the one, because we love depth here. And I do understand that not everybody can not everybody wants intense all the time, but this is why we love it here.
We merge souls on the daily.
Just like, wait, how do you see me? Like literally, it's the best.
I can't imagine going this entire life without ever knowing what it's like to feel truly known and seen.
Yes.
But so many people, even if they think they want that, are so afraid of it. And I get it, because I've also been afraid of it. But I'm so glad that I worked on that, because it's so good.
It's so good. Like to be able to be just, it's like your yoni's open and it's like, hello, look at me, welcome in. And they just love it, right? So it's like exposed, but in the best way. Because I know sometimes like not everybody can access that level of vulnerability. So it literally feels like triggering left and right, which I can understand. But once you lean into it, it's yummy. It's so good. Yeah.
And on the topic of like feeling seen, feeling so vulnerable, I do think that one way that you can sort of support yourself in getting through that is by getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
Using whatever vehicle you 100%. Want to use to do that. But I do think that part of what's so scary about someone seeing you is that you don't know what they're going to see.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like once you really know yourself, and not just know yourself, because when you use things like astrology or personality typing systems, you're going to get to know the good and the bad.
Yeah.
But I think coming back to that earlier point about self-compassion, I think that's such a big part of it, is being able to see, okay, I'm this way, but here's also why I'm this way.
Yes.
I think being able to offer yourself that self-compassion helps settle some of that anxiety, because you know, not everyone's going to be able to give you that same compassion, but you know that it's available. You know that if you can see yourself and see all the good, bad, and the ugly, and you can explain yourself to yourself in a way that feels reasonable, then you know that someone else is available for that as well, and they might be able to come to that same conclusion. So it's not as scary for someone to see you, because you know it's possible to accept all of you.
Exactly, because you're also like, okay, this is me. Like I feel like those vehicles, like we talk a lot about shadow and like spirituality, but if you're not in the spiritual world, what is your shadow, right? So I feel like those vehicles are such like a perfect introduction to knowing that like you have all these amazing qualities, but every single personality traits have so much, like think of it like cons, right? Like that's your shadow. And knowing that, I feel like really helps you ground in and really accept yourself as like a full person. Like for me, and like we should get into like the types, but like for me, what like love astrology, but like till this day I'm like the Enneagram was like mind effing to me.
That's what I like to hear.
So good. Like it's so good. Like when she literally told me my Enneagram type and we went deep and I'm like, oh my God. And then she's like, yeah. And then when you're in your like your stressor, you go to 8. And I'm like, I do go to the aggressor.
You do.
So now every time like
I didn't know her at the time. I think it was like the first day that I met you. I was telling you.
So insane. Because till this day, every time I'm stressed out, I'm like, I'm in my aggressor mode right now. I'm in my 8 energy.
Yeah. And we often reference also your one wing.
Yes.
Like I think today I was like, oh, there's your one wing. Like we just speak in Enneagram talk. Well, we'll do a general overview of the Enneagram. This is literally my favorite topic in the entire universe. If you've ever had a conversation with me, you already know that.
Yes.
I can't talk to someone without talking about the Enneagram. I literally can't do it. It's so good. It's my special interest.
Everyone should know it. But honestly, love that because everybody that you talk to about, it's like an instant like poll conversation starter. Because who doesn't want to know about themselves?
Well, the people that don't, they don't never talk to me again. I don't want to talk to them either.
Right, because one was like, I feel exposed. Hang up. Don't talk to me.
No comment.
But
honestly slay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Type 1.
Okay. Let me start with a general overview of what the Enneagram does.
Yes.
So it's basically broken down all of the primary motivations that people have that drive them and drive their decisions in life to 9 specific types. Mm-hmm. So 9 types have their unique core desire, the thing that they're trying to move towards in their life, and then their core fear, the thing they're trying to move away from in their life. And the way that I was taught it, at least, is that we all have all the Enneagram types in us because as humans, we all desire and fear a lot of the same things generally. We just might desire some more than others and fear some more than others. So we prioritize and organize the different motivations differently. And that gives us what our core type is. And maybe our top 3 would be pretty significant. Although most people, when they're talking about the Enneagram, they just mainly talk about your 1 type. You're just a 1 or you're just a 3 or you're just a 9. So let's get into the different types.
Yes. Type 1.
I do sort of self-identify as an Enneagram expert. However, I'm not going to use all the correct phrasing. I'm going to kind of go based on what I remember and also what I've experienced with the different types. But if you really want to go like super detailed, I would go to the Enneagram Institute website. That's my favorite place to send people to learn more about the types. So type 1. Also known as the reformer. Each type has a nickname, I guess you could call it. Their core motivation is a desire for good, to be good and to have good in the world, to have things be the right way. They deeply value excellence. If they see that there is something that could be done a better way, they're going to do the best that they can to make it that way all of the time. Yeah. They can be a bit perfectionistic because of that. But again, I want to really emphasize that behavior isn't where the Enneagram comes from. Any Enneagram type can do any behavior. Any Enneagram type can display perfectionistic tendencies. It's again about the motivation and what's driving that. But ones, because of their desire for goodness and rightness and fairness, they do tend to hold themselves and the world and the people around them to a very high standard, and holding up those standards can be quite perfectionistic. Their core fear is of being bad, wrong, or morally corrupt or evil. And so my experience with ones and interpretation of ones, and I also have quite a strong 1 in me. I don't think it's my main type, but I can feel when my 1 is there and my 1 really loves to be right a lot of the time. They are people that can be quite hard on themselves. Again, any type can be, but they're quite hard on themselves, but that tends to be projected outward a lot, especially when a 1 isn't super self-aware. They might be more under stress, not a super healthy level of or healthy expression of their type. They come across as really critical towards other people. So they are the first person to point out something that you did wrong. Yeah. And for that reason, they can sometimes get a bad rep. And when you look at most type descriptions, including the ones on the Enneagram Institute website, I will say that when you look at certain type descriptions, some of them just are made to sound worse than the others. When you look at one, I'm pretty sure it's like
know-it-all, stubborn.
Exactly. Know-it-all, stubborn, perfectionistic, critical.
Yes.
Yeah, needs to be right all of the time. And although that is relatively accurate, the one thing I also want to say, there's so many rabbit holes to go down with the Enneagram.
Yeah.
But the levels of health is really important. There are 9 Enneagram types, and within each one, there are 9 levels of health. And at each level, the Enneagram type will express itself quite differently. So at the lower levels of health with a 1, you will see a lot of that. You'll see the worst, obviously, of the 1. You'll see extremely critical and cynical and perfectionistic and probably quite mean.
Yeah.
Right? What are the words that you use?
Like stubborn.
Yeah.
Know-it-all.
Yeah. Even like the worst of the worst of that.
Yeah.
And then at the higher levels, they are just go-getters. They really try to fight for what's right. They might be a humanitarian. Like someone that is just trying to do
right
good
or
in
wrong.
the world.
Yeah.
And they really value doing what's right and helping undo the wrong in the world. And that's beautiful. Have a great contribution to the world.
Yeah.
We need ones.
And to be honest, I say like they're always right, like, so as they should be, like right. For the most part they are. So it's like, of course you would want to listen to them, right? Because I feel like to be a 1, you have to be confident in what you're saying and like even like how you're portraying things. So if they're saying something, they know most of the time they're right. So honestly, like, love that for them. And the reason that is, at least the way I understand why they're kind of always right, is because they're part of the gut triad. So there's the gut triad. 3 types are gut based, 3 types are heart based, and 3 types are mind based. I don't think I told you about this. No. So you're learning today. I love this. But the gut is like that instinct, and the Enneagram 1 is the gut type of just like having a really strong system internally that says what's good and what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. And they tend to be right. I mean, not all of the time. Let's not blow up their heads too much. Most of the time. Most of the time they are right because they have developed that really strong sense of morality and right and wrong and good and bad. And they also, like, because they have such high standards for themselves, they usually do reach those standards and then learn from reaching those standards what's good and bad. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's mostly what I'd want to cover with the 1. Do you have anything to add or ask? No, that's perfect. Good, because I want to get into 2. Love this for me. This baddie right here. Yes. Enneagram 2. Yes. We love her. I always say the Enneagram 2 is the type that, like, anyone would read the type description and be like, either I wish that was me or that's me, because they just want it to be me. Yeah. Like, no one would not want to be a 2. They're just like the nicest one on there. Like the one, not that there isn't any bad stuff written on the type description, but it's not as bad as the other one. Yeah. It's mostly like they're kind, they're caring, they're loving, they're warm. Yeah. They care and love so much to other people. They're always taking care of other people. It's like anyone would want to be that. And it's true. I wish I was a 2. But I'm so glad that I have a best friend as a 2. That's the next best thing. Yeah, best of both worlds. It is. And we'll talk about the shadow sides and the challenges. Yeah. Because it's not all sunshines and rainbows. But the 2, their core motivation is they desire to feel worthy of love and to feel poured into, to feel like they are receiving the love that they have to give also. And their core fear is essentially the opposite of that. They fear not being worthy of love. They fear being unloved. And the way that the Enneagram 2 tends to move towards that motivation is by pouring love out the yin yang in every possible way that they can. And you know, an Enneagram 2, I'm sure you can think of one right off the top of your head. The person that just knows what you need before you knew that you needed it. They are giving you the royalty treatment all of the time. They're the person that has the snacks in the purse to give you, has the Band-Aids in the purse to give you, has brought an extra bottle of water in case you needed it because they were bringing one for themselves. They're just always looking out for other people, always thinking about other people. They're very empathetic. Again, they're the heart triad. I don't think I said that actually, but they're part of the heart triad. So they really lead with the heart. Like they're very connection and relational types.
And some of the shadow sides of the two is that because they're so good at recognizing what other people want and need, even more than the person themselves, they tend to struggle with some level of self abandonment and boundaries because they are putting other people before themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can speak to this.
110%. And I feel like before we get into boundaries, I literally feel like with the 2 too, when you meet a 2, I think one of the things that like I heard 24/7 like throughout like growing up and stuff is like the love, because it's so heart led. It's not like something you experience on the normal, so it can feel very, I don't want to say intimidating, but a little bit off-putting, or like almost like there's an agenda because you're not used to receiving that. So it just feels like, why are you this good to me? Like, how are you this person? Da, da, da. Like, I've heard that so many times. Yeah, like literally, like, what's the catch? And you're like, girl,
that sounds very 8 of someone to say that.
Look at you,
but 8s are very skeptical.
Yeah. So I have heard of that like a lot, and I think it's just it's something that I'm like, okay, noted, right? But like the boundaries things, that's something that was like, actually after finding that out, I was like, okay, so we gotta harpen on this because I know it's in my shadow, and it is because it's so easy for you to like put other people first. So you really have to like learn on like, okay, like my needs are okay. But I think even like, I feel like as a 2, it's not, with the family dynamic, and maybe you can speak on that, like how does one become a 2? Because I feel like as a 2, you grow up always putting other first. So for me to even be able to speak on my needs and like figure out boundaries, I needed to even figure out what that was, because I think for the longest time I didn't even have space to like process what that was or know what that was. And then the first time I asked, I was like, oh, I guess this matters, right? So it was just so like life changing. So I feel like that really helps with like harping in like the boundaries and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think like the family dynamic that I envision being relevant to the Enneagram 2, and it could be different than this, but obviously you did learn somewhere along the way that to get love you have to give it, and you have to self-sacrifice.
Yes.
And so that becomes a part of your core story, is if I am going to receive the love and the care that I desire, and that I have planted in my DNA this desire for love and care, then I have to first give it.
Yeah.
Like it's an exchange sort of thing. I need to earn it.
Yes, exactly.
And that could be from your situation growing up in a big family where the love and the care innately was so dispersed because there were so many kids to give it to, that you probably did have to learn somewhere, because you weren't receiving the love that you wanted, you tried to get control of that somehow.
Yeah.
You developed a story of, okay, if I'm not receiving the love that I want, then what can I do about it? And you probably internalize it as, what I can do about it is just give more and be more and do more for other people, and then maybe eventually I'll get some in return.
Yeah. And if that was praise, and it's like, oh, this is working, right? Yeah.
Which I'm sure it was.
Literally. Before you move on to 3, what was like, what's the one family dynamic? What would a family dynamic turn a kid into, or someone into, a 1?
I can see a few different situations. It could be a family that was really like type A, anal, high expectations, where it was unsafe to make a mistake, or it was unsafe to be messy in any sense of the word, unsafe to even share emotion and to have much personality. You just had to sort of fit into a box in order to be safe and accepted and loved. It also could come from the complete opposite. I can see that as a situation too, where maybe there was a lot of chaos and a lot of corruption, possibly also inside of the family. And you saw that corruption and internalized it and made it your mission to be the change that you needed.
Yeah.
And the change that you wanted to see in the world. And so you rejected that wrongness and that badness and that corruption by holding yourself to such a high standard and then trying to model the world that you wanted back then.
Yeah, which makes sense, because I'm speaking like from a 1 wing, like when So one is giving, maybe we'll do astrology, but one's giving very Virgo, but also with like a little bit of Taurus. So I know like when I get in like like in my like very like rigid structure, like not wanting to move, I'm thinking like back then it is probably because I wanted to control. So like even like I was so obsessed with like cleaning. I mean, I still am, but we're working on that. Like not being as obsessed. And I remember back then it is because I felt like it was the only thing I could control at that moment. So I'm like, I have to clean my room. This has to be perfect. Like my sister would literally tell you like sharing a room with me was crazy because like I'm not joking, but also my dad was like that too, so I'm like that also came from him. Like we shared a room, girl, I drew a line in the middle of the dresser and I was like, this is your side, this is my side, and I used to count our hangers. And there was one day she took two. I was like, you took my hangers, and she's like, no I didn't, how do you know? It was like I had X, Y, and Z and there's two missing.
That's so one-coded. That's so funny. But it makes so much sense. Like it's just so deeply encoded in you of like this is fair.
Yeah.
Fairness is good.
Yes.
And so if other people aren't going to uphold that standard, then I
will.
It.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I get it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then two to me is giving very much like Cancer.
It is.
Yeah, like if you're relating it to astrology, yeah.
And I will say, like, that's just a vibe and an energy. It's not that if you are a Cancer, then you're a 2, and vice versa. But like, it just kind of gives the same vibe. If you are new to Enneagram but you know astrology, then it could kind of help you be like, okay, I can kind of see or feel what that person might be like.
Yes, exactly.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
I will say one more thing before I move on also, because it's relevant to you. And I reference this a lot, the different levels of health. Mm-hmm. We said this earlier. If you were to take the Enneagram test today, I just know you would not type as a 2.
Interesting.
I know you wouldn't.
Wait, why? Tell me.
It's so funny that you don't know.
And then tell me which one you think I would be, because I'm like, wait, which one?
The reason why I don't think you would type as a 2 is related to the different levels of health, because it completely changes the expression of the Enneagram type.
Okay.
And for all of the tests, they're usually basing it based on like the middle range of health, mm-hmm. right? They got to find somewhere because it's a different expression depending on what. But we all land neutral levels of health at some point in our life. And so they kind of base it based on that. And that would come with a lot of the typical shadow sides of it too, which would mm-hmm. be struggling with boundaries, mm-hmm. not taking care of yourself, putting mm-hmm. other people before you. And a lot of the questions would be related to that. And if you were answering those questions today, girl, you take care of yourself better than anybody that I know.
That's true.
Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, you actually prioritize yourself and take care of yourself so thoroughly and so well. Mm-hmm. Like, it's actually mind-boggling how well you take care of yourself. And it's so opposite to the Enneagram too, stereotypically.
Yeah.
But the reason that is because it was at one point in your life such a problem that you mm-hmm. didn't take good care of yourself. It was such a problem that you didn't have boundaries. It was such a problem that you prioritized other people over you, mm-hmm. that you had to learn to overcome that.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So which one do you think I would actually get if I took it now?
Took a test? You are a 2.
Yes.
I will say that. You're at a higher level of health too.
Yeah.
But based on like how you would answer, I think you would type maybe as a 4.
No way.
Only because you're so connected to your emotions.
Okay.
And creativity. You could also type as a 9 because you're quite calm, cool, collected. Like you can take charge and do things when you need to, but sometimes you kind of like the action kind of ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Not even in a bad way. You just kind of allow action and motivation to ebb and flow, mm-hmm. but that could on the surface look like an Enneagram 9 who struggles with procrastination. Oh, yes. Spit on you. Sorry.
That's okay.
Those would be my top guesses.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're definitely
that's so cool. Yes, but that's so interesting. Yeah, to know that like the different levels of health, because that makes sense. Yeah. Like that makes so much sense.
Which is why I tell people if they are going to take a test, take it like their 18-year-old self. Because when you're 18, you don't really you haven't done any work on yourself yet, really. Like a lot of what happens in our 20s is learning what's wrong with us, and because we're out into the world having to navigate the world and learning what's not working and then having to fix it. And so by the time that we're in our mid-20s, a lot of us have overcome a lot of these innate patterns that were related to our Enneagram type. And so if we're answering from that place, especially like, I'll use your example again. If you were someone who worked really hard to not be walked over by people and not be taken advantage of, because that was such a core wound for you, and you really take a lot of pride in how well you take care of yourself and how good at boundaries you are. If you weren't being careful about it while taking the test, you would be like, no, I'm so good at setting boundaries. Like you wouldn't answer a question based on that innately. You would answer it based on now. And you'd answer it proudly.
But before, definitely like not. So I do get it how like, it would alter that, because then technically you would kind of get false misleading results. Because if I got a 4 or 9, it wouldn't feel as much as I feel like as a 2. So
because you're applying it also to your early life. Right? Like you're not just looking at the type and being like, is this who I am today? You can see how it bleeds into who you are today because it is your core. But you can also see the resonance of your whole life. How the 2 struggles were your struggles.
That's so cool. Oh my God. Oh my God. I hope you guys are loving this, because I'm loving it. I love Enneagram. Like
I'm in my element.
As you should.
I'm in my element.
Oh my God.
Okay, 3. This is Colleen's fiance, soon to be husband. Maybe husband by the time this episode drops, actually. He is the Enneagram 3 achiever. Oh, the 2 is the helper. I forgot to say that. Enneagram 3 achiever. Core motivation is a desire to be seen as good, to be valued, to feel like they have value, essentially. And their core fear that they try to run away from is like being unseen, being invalidated, or not being seen in a good light. And I know there are better terminology to describe it, but to me, they tend to be quite image conscious, although someone might hear that and be like, oh, that's not me. But I would take that with a grain of salt, because it doesn't always have to be physical appearance. It's just being concerned with how you're being perceived. And it can come through in like physical image as well. A lot of 3s that I know are stereotypically like well-dressed. They always like to be put together. Like you'll always see them with their hair done, whatever that means to them. And they take good care of their skin, and they like to present themselves well, typically. But it doesn't always have to be that. Like I said, behavior isn't really what the Enneagram is about. It's more about motivation, but that is a stereotype of the 3 that I've seen a lot. And I kind of see that with Henry.
I do. And when I think of like other 3s, like I do, because I feel like it is very much like I have to do, and it's not a bad thing, but it's probably because you learn that like, you know, you need to get validation from how people feel about you, whether that's parents or whatever. So you're always seeking, and then whatever you did was never enough, right? So then it just becomes this whirlwind of, oh my God, I have to do this, to seek this. And then that validation tells you you're doing something right. And then you can keep going. And then if you don't get that, then it's like, oh my God, the world's ending.
And that's very on point. Like going back to the upbringing of the different Enneagram types, you've nailed it. The Enneagram 3 grew up in a household that didn't give praise easily. They really had to. I know. They had to fight to earn it. They really did. And any kid is going to value validation and just know that they're doing a good job. What kid doesn't like to hear from their parent that they're proud? You know? And so when you grew up in an environment that didn't hand that out very easily, you would internalize that as, okay, I need to do more and I need to do bigger. Right? Even if you don't consciously think that going into adulthood, because I know Henry's self-awareness has advanced, but I think like 5 years ago, I don't think he would have agreed that he was doing things that he was doing for validation.
No, 100%. And it's so funny because now that like after even telling him about Enneagram, love it, because like I feel like he's now more like aware, and then now he's like, okay, so I don't need to do this for this, right? Like it's been
Yeah.
actually like really, really good.
So he's able to acknowledge now that maybe there is a wound of validation.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
That
and
is
he
cool.
does bring that up a lot in
Recognized it.
conversation when he's realized he's like, wait, why am I doing this for other people? I should be doing it for me. Like it comes up like often now, so it's nice. It's a nice little checkpoint. Like, you know what I mean?
I
It's
love
nice.
that.
Yeah.
Enneagram is so helpful. It's
Yeah.
so helpful for yourself. It's so helpful for your partner.
Yes, exactly.
Like I'm sure you knowing him and him knowing you in these anyway, but especially with the context of the Enneagram that makes it so easy to understand each other. Like it does help you see where maybe their blind spot.
Yes.
And you can call it out for them. And then
Yes.
you're like, oh, because it is easy to have blind spots.
It is.
With our patterns.
Yeah. And I think same like with the 3-2, one of the things I noticed is like the inner critic is so loud. So knowing that too, I'm like, okay, when he's like in his head, I need to pour love into him and tell him he's doing good, he's doing enough, like, and just validate him. And I immediately see it shift. So it's like, it's so cool.
Yes, I love that.
Yes, Enneagram 3 is. I'm this one's challenge. I want to say, girl, because he's a Libra.
Exactly.
Or like Capricorn.
It is Capricorn. Yeah. You're right. Like that very high achieving, high standards, especially like in the areas of work. Yeah. It can go in other areas too, but like stereotypically, the Enneagram 3 is like the high achiever at work. If they're not an entrepreneur, then they're like working their way up to the top of whatever company they work at, and they're going to be the best. Yes. Not like trying, they will be. They will be the best. As they should.
Yeah. Okay. Type 4. Before we get into type 4, I'm like, girl, what are you? Because as
a self-proclaimed Enneagram expert, I really struggle determining what my Enneagram is.
Honestly, that's fair.
Yeah, and I just do go back to we do have all of them in us, and so it is really about deciphering like the innermost parts of you and what is actually like your deepest fear and what is the thing that drives you in hard decisions.
Yeah. So as an 18-year-old Kelly, who would that be? 6. Okay.
Definitely 6. Yeah. Okay. And 6 was my first answer when I took the Enneagram test a long time ago. Actually, no, the first time I took the test, I didn't do well because I really wanted to be a 3. And so I took the test as I was a 3 and I got the 3 result. But I really had to be honest with myself. I'm not a 3. But I was in my entrepreneurial era at the time. And, you know, when you hear that there's this particular personality type that's so high achieving and they just like accomplish so much in their careers, and you're, you know, an up and coming entrepreneur and you're really hoping that your business works. It's like, I really hope I'm a 3. Yes. I took the test as if I was. I'm not. But 6 was my first answer. Only like maybe a year and a half ago, I think I switched it to 4. Yeah. Which we'll get into. Yeah. And then recently I've gone back to the 6. Yeah. But I do resonate very deeply with both.
Yeah. So then it'd be a 6 with a 4 wing or 1 wing?
The wing has to be the number next to it.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, I'm teaching you more
today. I love this. So you'd have to be like a 5 wing or which 7 makes sense.
7 makes sense. Yeah. The wings are, so every number obviously has a number before it and a number after it. And whichever number you kind of take on a little bit more of those qualities, you lean towards that type a little bit. That's your wing. So you could be a 3 with a 2 wing or a 4 wing. You could be a 7 with a 6 wing or an 8 wing, etc. And it just sort of, it's another rabbit hole of the Enneagram. It's another way to specify. And I will say some schools of thought actually don't agree with the wings. Some say they actually aren't real or aren't true. I don't really know. I think it's something.
Yeah, I think it's something too.
I think it's something. Yeah. I think other aspects of the Enneagram to specify are more accurate, like the stress line and the growth line, which we'll talk about. But anyways, let's get to the 4.
Yes.
Who I really deeply resonate with, and I sort of do wish it was my type. Now that I've like spent a year and a half really believing I was a 4 and really just like leaning into that part of myself, it was really fun. Yeah. So the Enneagram 4 core motivation is essentially they desire having their established place in the world. They want to be an individual, and they want to know who they are, and they want to know that who they are is significant. Their core fear, what they're trying to avoid and what is most terrifying thing to them, is basically the opposite. It's of having no identity. It's of being meaningless, identityless, and essentially insignificant, of never really finding out who they are and why they're here. Kind of like existential dread. It's giving existential dread.
Yes.
The Enneagram 4. And I always see them as the archetype of the tortured artist, because they tend to be very artistic and creative, but in the way that specifically loves to turn the darkness and the pain of humanity into something really beautiful.
I love that.
And it's so cool. It's why I want to be a 4. Aww. And I do have a lot of 4 in me.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm a creative in the writing department. I write novels, but I'm not just writing any fairy tale romance story. I'm writing romance stories that deal with pain. I talk about trauma, and I talk about attachment style, and I talk about I develop real human characters that actually have stuff come up when they're in relationship or in partnership with someone that ends up messing up the relationship, pulling them away, or something that they have to work through. And that's because I've spent a lot of my life learning about trauma and learning about psychology and learning about all these different ways that we can learn about ourselves, like the Enneagram and attachment style and trauma and healing from trauma. And so I wanted to take that darkness and that pain and make it into a beautiful love story.
Love that.
Which is very 4.
Yes. I feel like 4 is giving Pisces or Scorpio.
Yeah. Which is why I really do think
which makes
also Aquarius.
Yeah.
Very Aquarius coded, because they love to just be different.
Yes.
Because they want to be an individual.
Yeah.
They usually, and again, behavior is not Enneagram, but stereotypically, they will dress a bit weird. Not weird, but just differently. They will have something about themselves that just tells you right away, I don't conform. I don't want to conform.
That is giving Aquarius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about the Enneagram 4 that a lot of people don't realize, I don't know if I've told you this part, but they kind of have this internal oxymoron, because they deeply desire to be an individual, to be special, to be unique, and to be seen as that. But they have a deep core wound of not fitting in. So it's the opposite.
Interesting. What the heck?
They're so in pain over feeling like they don't belong, yet they want to be different.
Oh, that's like, that literally is an oxymoron.
Yes.
It's like, I want to be unique. I want to be like literally like a unicorn in a land of cows. But then you're like,
I'm lonely.
Wait, why? Why am I so different? I'm alone. Why don't I have more unicorns?
Exactly. Oh. I know. And it's very Enneagram 4 coded, because I'm going to say we, because I do resonate. We just love being sad.
Yeah.
We just love melancholy. We just love pain. We love listening to sad music. We love to cry. We love to just be like, again, the tortured artist, the tortured poet. But when I was exploring my identity as an Enneagram 4, the way I interpreted that oxymoron was actually a psychological way that we try to gain control over our earlier pain. So a lot of the time we grew up feeling very alienated and feeling like we didn't belong, which I definitely relate with. And then we struggle to belong or to make ourselves belong maybe earlier in life. So then we learn, okay, if I can't belong, then let me just make my whole identity being different.
Yeah.
And let me take control over it. Let me make it a thing that I'm doing deliberately.
Yeah.
Let me listen to music that nobody listens to.
Yeah.
Let me dress differently than anyone else. Let me do different activities or approach my life, not go to a 9-to-5 job, but become a painter. Like, let me just do my whole life differently so that this feels deliberate rather than a pain that I'm having to deal with every day.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I know.
We love the 4. You are a 4.
I am in some way. Enneagram 5.
Enneagram 5.
This is the one we were both just saying, actually, that we don't know very
as
well.
much. Yeah.
Because I can't think of a single Enneagram 5 that I know in my life.
Either.
And you don't either.
I'm like, maybe my sister, but like.
Hey, Oh, true.
Not so much. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to talk about the Enneagram 5 just based on theoretical knowledge, but not based on experience with them, because I don't really know. I don't have any relatability to it. But their core motivation is they desire competence. They want to know what to do in any given situation. That's how they find their safety, is through knowing. And so they absorb knowledge.
That's definitely my sister.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
She's giving 5 more
Yeah.
than the other ones. And the opposite, their core fear is of being incompetent, of being in a situation where they are unable to get themselves out or to figure it out. That's like their core. It's like the source of their anxiety is just not knowing what to do in any given situation. That would drive an Enneagram 5 bonkers. They tend to be very introverted, although it doesn't have to be that way. Again, it's a stereotype, but because they just love to absorb knowledge and have their unique interests, they are so immune to small talk. Like, they hate it more than anyone else. They will literally walk away. They hate it so much. Like, they cannot do banter and small talk.
Giving no thank you.
They're like, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about my special interest.
Would they come across off as like awkward then a little bit if which my sister has heard a lot of, like, literally, because I think even like my parents were like, why is she just so awkward with people?
Yeah. And it's not because they, like, it genuinely is just because they don't understand how they're like, why have we developed a system where we just are so superficial?
Yeah.
And we're so, like, just okay with, how are you, good? Like, they're just like, it doesn't make sense to me. I can't wrap my mind around it, so I'm just not going to participate.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah. I love that for them.
Yeah, slay.
And I love a 5 for that reason, because I relate in a way that I also hate small talk, and I want to go there right away. Like, I just met you, but tell me your trauma.
Yes, exactly. I feel like that is kind of giving Scorpio.
It is.
Yeah. Or like, what else? Oh, it's not Cancer, it's not Pisces.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Because it's not giving a fire sign.
No.
Yeah.
No, it would be giving kind of earth.
Yeah. That one's hard. Yeah, that one's hard. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll have to meet an Enneagram 5 and be like, okay, this is our archetype now.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I have like one person in my mind for like all the Enneagram types. So then when I'm like talking about the Enneagram type to someone or explaining it, I just think about that person, but I can't do that for 5.
Yeah.
I guess the only one.
Yeah.
6.
Yours.
It's me. I think.
Let's claim it. She has 2, 6 and 4.
I do. And I'll talk about why I've come around to thinking this is my main type over the 4 as well. But the 6 is the loyalist. Oh, I keep forgetting. The 5 is the investigator. The 6 is the loyalist. The 6 deeply desires to have certainty, safety, security, predictability, reliability. They just want to feel secure. And that they have people and situations that they can rely upon. Their core fear is of being unsupported. So being in a negative situation or having something go wrong that they can't handle on their own, and not having anyone there to help them, not having anyone that cares enough to help them, being in a bad situation and then not being able to get out of it because of people not being there for them, which can lead 6s to have a hyper independence wound, because especially if they learned early that people might not be there for them, or they've never really had a reliable support system, it can cause a lot of anxiety, because that need to feel secure and supported gets turned around entirely on themselves, and they feel like they're the only person that they will ever be able to entirely rely upon, which is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that is a lot of pressure. Yeah.
They're a head type, so they're part of the head triad. Again, any type can have anxiety, but anxiety is very common in the 6 just because they are constantly looking for what could possibly go wrong in any given situation. And it can start to feel like anxiety when in your head all of the time. You're always looking at, well, this might happen and this might happen. And what if I forget this? And oh my God. And you're just always thinking about worst case scenarios, but it's your mind trying to mentally prepare for them so that you can try to get ahead of them and prevent them from happening, or have some level of contingency plan in case something does go wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's how they feel secure. Especially, again, going back to not feeling like you have a support system. If you know that in a bad situation you might have to deal with it yourself, then you're going to think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it so that you know how to deal with it if it happens.
Yeah. So then with the family dynamic, I'm just thinking of from what I know.
Yeah. Go on.
With the family dynamic of a 6, kind of be like someone who has had to maybe step up earlier in childhood and be like the fixer for almost everything, and almost be like the parent to the parent, or having to think of like the worst case scenarios. And kind of, have you seen Ginny and Georgia?
Yes.
Yeah, like almost like Ginny, like, you know, where your mom is a little bit like, or your parent, they're a little bit
a real parent,
loosey, and you're like, we have to be this, da 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 da. Would that kind of give?
It would.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean that could also be some of the other types.
Yeah.
I can see a 9.
Yes.
Also being from that environment. I can see a 1. Like you said, the chaotic environment. But yeah, I do think overall you are right. It does come from growing up in an environment where things went wrong and you didn't know how to fix it. And maybe because there weren't people there also. Yeah. So usually there's some kind of situation that happens, or a series of situations that happen in upbringing, where something happened that you were not prepared for, and you internalize the story of, if I had just thought about this happening, I could have prevented it from happening and I would have avoided this pain.
Which makes so much sense for you.
I know. I know. That's what I mean. As much as I want to be tortured artist, super cool, special, awesome, artistic Enneagram 4.
But 6 is slay, because that's what we get a lot. I literally am like, I think 6 would give Taurus.
Yeah.
Literally. And Taurus literally is giving loyal. So I love this for you and me.
I know. See, I love that you're an Enneagram 2. I love that I'm a 6 for you. It's actually perfect. Yeah. Where the term loyal comes in is because, similarly to how the Enneagram 2 tries to get love by giving love, the Enneagram 6 tries to get reliability by being reliable. By being loyal. It's like, if I am that steady, reliable person for people in my life, and they know that if they need me, I'll be there, and I will sacrifice myself if they're in an emergency, and I will always be there for them when they need me, then if I'm ever in that situation, then they'll owe me. Yeah. That's kind of how we try to get that as well. At least we hope. But going back to a lot of like the experience of anxiety with the 6s, and how I came to figure out that I think I am a 6 over a 4, is because you and I have done a lot of shadow work together over the years. And there's been lots of triggering situations that I've had to really unpack and peel back the layers of, what about this feels so dysregulating to my nervous system? Even if it's like something having to do with business, or making a little bit less income one month, or not knowing what my next move is, or having a client need to end their work with me early, or having an unexpected expense come up, or a relationship ending. Like, it could be anything that feels really dysregulating to my nervous system. This is my process that I've learned to do, is following that thread of anxiety to the deepest fear. So then I'll start with the original fear, which was, oh no, I'm afraid that I'm not going to make enough money next month. And then I ask myself, and then what? And then if that continues for a while, then I might have to ask people to lend me money. And then what? And then even if they say yes, they'll only do that for so long. Okay, and then what? And then what if I can't figure it out, and then I end up like in a position where I'm on the streets? Okay, and then what? And then I'm going to feel so ashamed that I won't want anyone to see me. I won't want anyone to help me, and I'm going to push everyone away. Okay, and then what? And then I'm going to feel so lonely and so disconnected and so sad and like just so miserable that I'm probably going to turn to drugs and just become a drug addict, to become a piece of shit, and no one's going to love me, and I'm going to have pushed everyone away, so no one's going to be there for me, and then I'm just going to be miserable and in so much pain and alone.
And then die.
And I've told you this. Yes. I don't care about dying.
Yes.
I care about pain.
Yes. Yeah.
My deepest fear is not dying. My deepest fear is being in so much misery and suffering so profoundly and having nobody there to help me.
Yeah, which came up in like your past life and your ayahuasca journey.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. And so because that comes up so often, that rings true with the Enneagram 6 fear of being unsupported, of being in a bad situation and being unsupported. Because it's not just I'm a drug addict on the street and broke. It's I'm a drug addict on the street, broke, unable to help myself, and nobody cares enough to help me.
Girl, yeah.
And it's specifically that.
But that also makes sense with like how you grew up and like even what's happening, right? And it's like it makes sense why you're not even wanting to like reflect that, because it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, talk about mommy issues.
Girl, join the club.
Girl, literally. Okay,
we love 6. That. Yeah, 7. Kelly loves 7.
I love 7. I love 7s. They are so fun.
Yeah.
I obviously love 2s. That's like unquestionable. Like nobody on earth doesn't love a 2. So I'm just going to put 2 aside for a second because obviously they're my favorite. But of the other Enneagram types
7
that are like more controversial, because a 2 is not controversial, you just love a 2. 7s are my favorite. They're controversial in the way that some people find them incredibly annoying and incredibly chaotic and just like too stressful and too much. Particularly Enneagram 9s find that, and I'll tell you why later when we get to the 9. My ex is a 9, and every Enneagram 7 that we met, he hated them immediately. It was so funny.
Which I could get. They do give a little chaotic and unstable to me. Like I'm thinking about my Taurus brain, I could not.
Yeah. And I think because my Scorpio and my Pisces love the intensity and the like, it's very exciting and enticing to me. So the Enneagram 7, their core desire is essentially freedom. They want to have fun, they want to be free, they want to have adventure, they want to have experiences, and their core fear is of being deprived and in pain. So they're always moving away from pain. No matter what, they're just moving, always moving, period. They don't stop moving.
Oh my God.
They are the embodiment of FOMO, the fear of missing out. They will say yes to overlapping things all the time. And if I were to portray the average day in the life of an Enneagram 7, it's like on a Wednesday, they work a 9 to 5. At 6 a.m., they're going to Pilates. Then at 7:15, they're meeting their friend for coffee. And then at 8, they're taking their dog for a walk with another friend that they're going to the dog park. And then they're somehow making it to work for 9. And then somehow between 9 and 5, they're not only doing their job, but they're also working on their side gig and like their side project and their side passion. And then when they're finished work, then they're meeting their coworkers at this pub right after work for a few drinks, and then they're meeting their partner for dinner, and then they're going after dinner for other friends to meet them for drinks, and then they're going to spontaneously go on a night out because somebody mentioned karaoke. But then when they're on their way to karaoke, they figured out that it was trivia night at another pub, so that they rerouted and went to trivia, and then they're going to karaoke after.
God.
And then they're actually out until like midnight, and then they go home, and then they decide to do their like side hobby because they're not ready to go to sleep yet. So they might play the guitar because they're learning how to play the guitar, and then they'll go to sleep and wake up and do it all over again.
That sounds exhausting. Like that is a nightmare to me, because what do you mean? I would not survive.
You would not survive. And I honestly, I have to admit, I would not survive either, but I like to believe that I could. Because their lives sound so fun. Their lives sound so thrilling. They're really just living their best lives. Like they're doing everything all the time, all at once.
Yeah.
They're never saying no. Even if saying yes means that they're supposed to be at 2 places at once, they don't care. They'll figure. Well, they won't figure it out, but they'll try to figure it out.
Oh my God.
They will try.
It's giving Sagittarius to the core. To the core.
Giving Sag, which is so funny because my ex is a Sag, but he hates 7s. He hates them. But it's probably a projection.
It literally is. It's like your shadow, buddy.
Literally.
So what's the family dynamic for 7?
I think they were deprived a lot.
of just freedom and
of their freedom. Yeah, they had very, very strict households. They were deprived of the things that they wanted to do. They weren't allowed to do what they wanted to do. Could have been a very religious household, possibly.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Love 7s.
Okay. 8, which is my stress line.
Yes. Yes. So the Enneagram 2 under stress will move to the Enneagram 8 and take on the negative or the unhealthy qualities of the 8 under stress. That's what the stress line is. And then the growth line is the opposite. You also move to another type under growth and you take on their positive qualities.
There's so much.
So many rabbit holes. We could literally be here for like 4 hours talking about the Enneagram. But we won't. I'll keep it short-ish. Long story long.
I think we're like an hour and a half in. I love this stress.
I can't read that number, by the way.
I know. That's why I checked.
Anyway, okay, Enneagram 8, the challenger.
Yeah.
Their core desire is essentially safety. They want to feel safe. They want to feel powerful. They want to feel in control and taken care of at all times. Their core desire is the opposite. Their core fear is the opposite. They fear being vulnerable, being taken advantage of. And Enneagram 8s, I used to feel like I didn't get along with them, but that actually was changed when I had a client who was an Enneagram 8, and then I came to really love 8s. They are really lovable.
They really are.
They're so lovable, but they have the hardest exterior.
Yeah.
And the way that someone described the Enneagram 8 to me is like a hard candy that has the gooey middle. You know those hard candies? So they're like really hard, tough, intimidating exterior. But when you get under the exterior, they're like all warm and ooey gooey and lovey inside. Like they're honestly softies, but they've got like Rottweiler energy.
Yeah, which I have attracted a lot of 8s, but it makes sense because I do feel like outside of like the hard exterior, when they love you, which I love.
Same. When you earn the love and the trust of an Enneagram 8, it feels like the biggest medal in the world because you know that they're not giving that up. And another way to contrast the Enneagram 8s from the other types, especially our types, is that we, especially, I don't know if you'll agree with you, but I definitely trust people as a default. I will trust them until they give me a reason not to.
100%.
Complete opposite with Enneagram 8.
Which is insane.
They walk around not trusting anybody. You've got to earn it first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I can understand.
See. Yeah.
I can understand
if they've been jaded. So the family dynamic would be what? I don't know if I know about this one.
Yeah. It could be very different, but from experience with Enneagram 8s, it is very common that they come from a profoundly traumatic childhood where they were actually unsafe. So it could have been abuse of some kind, or just like a chaotic, maybe growing up around alcoholic parents, and it doesn't even have to be parents because it's not always about the parent. It could have just been like profound bullying.
Which makes sense about like now I'm thinking because like the car girl is an 8 and I'm like oh, her childhood which would match that because that's how that's literally her type. Like that's so interesting.
Just like you said, it's jaded.
Yeah.
Like when you learn that the world is not going to protect you, then you develop a very hard exterior to protect yourself.
Yeah.
But another very lovely thing about the Enneagram 8s, I will say, I'm going to hype you guys up because I do love you guys a lot.
Slay.
Is that they are the first to stand up for the underdog.
Which honestly, as a 2, I love.
Yeah.
Because 2s, so, like they literally struggle with
advantage of a lot.
Yes, and then you have an 8. I feel like that's why I attracted a lot of them because they did a lot of that pulling, and I'm like, oh, finally.
Yes, and Enneagram 8 and Enneagram 2 are a very common pairing. It's one of the most common pairings because they have such profoundly different inner worlds, and then they have the medicine for the other one.
Aww.
Because an Enneagram 2 needs to take some of the boundaries of the Enneagram 8. Enneagram 8 has the most steel boundaries in the entire world, and they'll look to a 2 and be like, why are you doing this?
Yes, literally.
Why are you letting these people walk all over you? That's a diabolical. Yes. Stop doing that. You're being an idiot.
Literally.
Yeah. But then a 2 will be like, you don't have to be so hard all the
Yeah,
time.
you need to
can let
love
people
more.
in.
Yes.
Let people in, let yourself be loved, let yourself be taken care of. You don't have to
Yeah.
do it all yourself. The world
Yeah.
isn't that hard.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Showing them that it's safe to trust and love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to let their walls down, and also vulnerability. Because
Yes.
the Enneagram 8's growth is really about learning to be more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And talking about the stress in the growth line, exactly that. The Enneagram 8 moves to the 2 in growth.
Which makes so much sense because,
Yeah.
like, honestly, that has changed.
Yeah.
My life. Literally, when I'm literally in my stress line, I'm like, okay, girl.
Yeah. Talk more about
like,
that so people can get an experience of what the stress line is
so
like.
like when I am in my stress line, like when I move towards an 8, I'm not gonna lie, everything in my inner world wants, like, my boundaries, it goes from 0 to another. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna pour that. And then the minute I feel like I'm like taking advantage of, not being poured into or misunderstood or whatever, the minute I feel like there's a sense of jaded, immediately I am like, think of like you taking gasoline in a match and like blowing up a household. That's literally what it feels like. Because it's like there's no it's like boundaries up. You go from like, yeah, I'm going to, yeah, like I can do whatever like on this day, and and then to like, I'm never helping you again. Like it's just it's like extreme. And I literally have to remind myself to like not be so extreme, which honestly also kind of relates to like the Aquarius moon, because it gives very much detached, like, you know what I mean?
It literally is like water flowing out of a hole, and then a steel wall just comes down, literally, and locks down. You're like, nothing is getting out now.
And it's so interesting, like being in that and knowing that, and it's like, okay, like you literally have to remind yourself to not stay in that stress and like be so jaded and like move out of it, because like I can see that. I love it. It's so fascinating.
I love the stress of the growth line. I like it more than the wings. Like I said, like I feel like it's more relatable. The wings I was not sure about. Like they kind of make sense, but when I look at the different lines of like where I go in stress and where I go when I'm healthy and in growth, like it makes so much sense, and it makes insane sense for you.
So you in stress, you move towards?
I move towards the unhealthy 3. Overworking.
This makes so much sense.
I know.
Girl, your business. I know. Your books. This girl will stay up till 2 a.m. fixing one thing because it has to be perfect.
It's also very
That's also one.
It's just like the overworking, the overcommitting, the overachieving, the like trying to, because I'm trying to get security, and so I try to do that sometimes, but just like doing way too much.
Oh my god, that makes
and seeking validation and not self-validating. And then in growth, I go to 9.
Oh, I see that. I do see that. Just grounded. One of the things I love about Kelly is literally how like her advice is so grounded and neutral. Like you and Henry really do that really well. So I know when I'm tripping, if I know she's grounded in like the advice she's gonna give me. And wise. Yes, exactly. And it's so good because you do need, I feel like a lot of people need that, because you want to be able to trust the source and know that like there's a grounded presence and like unbiased presence, and you do that really well. So I love that. That's so sweet.
Which is a perfect transition to the 9.
Yes.
So this is the last of the Enneagram. We're getting to the end, folks. Don't you worry. Last of the Enneagram. I actually learned this today looking up the Enneagram 9. So I'm going to talk about it because I found it really interesting. Because they are the last of the Enneagram, they're sort of seen as like the most wise, the most spiritually connected, but also the most grounded in their humanity, which reminds me of how the Pisces is usually interpreted, because the Pisces is also the 12th zodiac. You go through all the zodiacs and you end up at Pisces. So you take all the lessons of the other zodiac and you become wise and you become spiritual. But part of becoming spiritual is not just being airy fairy up in the clouds. It's also being grounded and wise in your humanity. And so the Enneagram 9 really does exude that. I read that today and I was like, wow, that's so true about the Enneagram 9s, especially the healthier ones. I've had my fair share of dealing with Enneagram 9s that are not as healthy. But I do love the 9. I'm obviously attracted to the 9 energy because I have so many of them in my life or in my past. But their core motivations, core desire is to have inner stability and inner peace. And their core fear, I always thought of it as the opposite, so like of chaos and instability, but their actual core fear is of being disconnected. So they try to keep their world together and peaceful and calm because to them chaos means separation.
Which makes sense, because if they're trying to keep the peace, like even though they hate chaos, they would kind of seek that out to keep the peace, to feel connected to everything around them.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Exactly. So they're very like their type is called the peacemaker. They're really good mediators, and going to family dynamics, it tends to be that they had to take on that role of being the person in the middle, helping to fix the problems and fix the stress and fix the chaos. If they had siblings, usually they were the one that the siblings went to help them solve out their problems. So they are actually really good at fixing conflict, but they hate conflict. If they're involved in it, they hate it. If they're healthy, then they can also resolve conflict that they're involved with really well because they can see all sides. They're very empathetic. They know how to communicate really calmly and grounded. But when they're unhealthy, they're so immune to conflict that they tend to repress their feelings and harbor a lot of resentment, because doing that is easier than bringing something up and potentially causing conflict. So that's a big shadow of the Enneagram 9. My experience of 9s as well, it's interesting again how like opposites attract and how like you tend to have the medicine for each other. Because me, I love conflict and chaos and like intensity and like I love emotion. And two previous partners of mine who were Enneagram 9s have almost exclusively dated Enneagram 9s. A core theme of a problem in our relationship is that I had so much emotion and wanted to work it out, wanted to talk it out, wanted to feel connected through the intensity of my emotion, and wanted to share that with the person that I was with, and they couldn't. They would emotionally shut down. Because to them, they would emotionally shut down, and or they would try to fix it. Which is not what I wanted.
Instead of just letting you just be and express, they're like, I'm uncomfortable. I don't feel this, so you shouldn't feel this, and if you feel this, I'm gonna be uncomfortable, because then that makes me feel like I have to look at my stuff, so I'm just gonna literally push it away,
or just like try to fix it, like come up with a tangible solution. So when I'm venting, they're like, well, have you thought of this? I'm like, no, I don't want you to do that right now. just let me talk.
Let me cry.
Let me feel. I don't want you to fix my pain. And why that activated my wound is because my wounding is a lot around being a burden and being too much. And so when someone would immediately jump into trying to fix me, it activated that wounding of feeling like I'm not lovable inherently and that I'm too much. When what I really wanted was for someone to see me in my mess and in my chaos and in my intense emotionality and accept and love that unconditionally. But I was not getting that from 9s, which is probably why I had to keep repeating the cycle with them. But I did do a lot of like working this out with my most recent Enneagram 9 partner. And I had the context of the Enneagram in that relationship. I knew of it, so I shared with him and what his Enneagram type was, and kind of gave the conflict that we had recurring the context of the Enneagram. And I did think it was quite helpful in helping us like meet in the middle ground and not to take things so personally.
I love that. So the dynamic of that, you already said, it's like having to fix things in your family and stuff like that, right? Like being the mediator and stuff like that.
Or just growing up in a household that was really stressful and chaotic, and sometimes they also struggle a lot with dissociation, like they kind of like disembody when they're feeling uncomfortable. And sometimes like when their upbringing was so chaotic and stressful, they had nowhere to go, so they escaped into themselves.
That makes sense. So, like, okay, before we finish off, so I feel like people will probably go and be like, oh my God, what's my Enneagram? Because I would want to do that.
Is the best.
So, if they are really, even if they don't take the test and they're just
Yeah.
listening to this, trying to figure out who they are,
Yeah.
and they're debating between one or the other two, how would you say, like, what would you say would be easy for them to distinct, like, well, am I a 2, am I a 3, am I a 9 or 8? What should they actually go to?
Yeah. I don't think the tests are reliable. I will say that. Like, they're a tool to help you narrow it down, but it's very unlikely to tell you what your actual type is. So if you already have an idea of what your type, your like top types could be, like I always try to get people to have like a top 3 that they think they would be, and be honest with yourself again, because it's really easy to be like, oh, I'm so loving like a 2 and I care about my friends and take care of them, or I'm a really high achieving person, I'm such a 3. There are some that are appealing and you would want to be that, but you really do have to be honest with yourself on how are you actually presenting and moving in your life. Once you have the top ones, I would just start to pay attention to the absolute core of each Enneagram type, like just the core desire and the core fear. Don't look at their behavior, don't look at their stereotypes, don't look at the characteristics of them or the archetypes, because that's when it starts to get confusing. Just look at this thing that the Enneagram type moves towards and the thing that they're trying to move away from.
Yeah.
And then one tool or strategy I would recommend is think of a recent hard decision that you had to make. A decision that felt really difficult. You had to really take your time with it. And just contemplate for yourself, what were the different directions that I was contemplating taking, and how was I justifying each one? Like, if I was trying to move this direction, why did I say going that direction would be good? And why did I say going that direction would not be good?
Yeah.
And then this other direction, how did I justify that would be good? How did I justify that would be bad? And then in the end, what did I decide? And what was my deciding factor? Then try to relate that to the desires and the fears.
I like that. Yeah, because like it does make sense, because if you come back to the desires and the fears, like if I were to take this right now, like you said, you're like, you probably maybe would have gotten a 4 or 9 because of how I am.
The behavior.
But if I look at the core, like the growth and the stress and the desire, like just focus on the desire. It's not 4 or 9. It's literally 2.
It is wanting to be loved.
Yes.
And wanting to be cared for.
I'm like, that's true.
At the end of it all, that's what every hard decision that you make probably comes down to, just wanting that.
So that's so true.
Yeah.
So if you listen to that, desire. Because we did talk to a few people that were like, yeah, I don't know, I could be this, I could be this, maybe.
It's tough.
So it's like, what is your desire? But it honestly, literally be honest with yourself. And that's part of like your shadow, right? Like being able to embody like who you are as a person. You have to be honest with yourself, because if you're not going to get the answers that you want, because the only way this is going to make sense and like truly resonate is if you can be like, oh yeah, this is my core belief. Because like literally people like 3, I know there was one person who didn't want to be a 3 because he's like, well, I'm not seeking validation. And it's like, but you are, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And that's okay. I know, I've had that with 3s. I've had that with 3s when I told someone they were a 3 and then they looked it up and they're like, I don't care about what other people think about me. And it's like, that's probably because you've told yourself that you shouldn't. Exactly. And that's probably because you've told yourself that you shouldn't, because you did very much when you were younger. Exactly. and that was a problem.
Yes.
So you had to fix it.
So you're a 3.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my God.
And I love the Enneagram because it allows you to be so compassionate with yourself when you're struggling, when you make a mistake. It's like, I can see why I did that based on my core desire and my core fear. And other people as well, when they make a decision that is different than what you wanted, or they make a decision that's different than what you expected of them, rather than being like, it's because they don't love me, and taking it personally. You'd be like, oh, they made that decision because this is the thing they're moving towards in life, and this is the thing that's the scariest thing to them.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. It's so guys, good. Comment your Enneagram type. Yes. Like, I love this. Or what do you think you are? Like, this is so fun.
What do you think you are? Or if you do know, what is your Enneagram type? And then what is the Enneagram type that you get along with the most and the least?
Yes, I like that. Yeah, I don't think I've met anybody that I'd get along with the least. Have I? I don't know. Not yet, anyways.
No.
Maybe.
I struggle with ones.
I was good.
But I have one in me too, so I get it. Like, and the thing with the one is because we want to be right, like, only one person can be right in this situation. So we're just fighting with each other.
It makes sense. I would say maybe that, because I did find that, like, well, some of the ones I met were somewhat healthy and like able to take criticism, but the one that are not are like insufferable. No offense.
There are insufferable versions of every Enneagram type, though.
Yeah, there are. Yes, we were talking about it too.
And we know it was insufferable too.
So bad. I was like, I don't claim her.
Yeah.
Like, that's no.
I know. So when it's bad, it's bad. When it's good, it's good.
It's true.
When it's bad, it's bad.
Like, whoa.
Yikes. Literally. Yikes.
Oh my God.
Okay. Oh my God, what a long episode. What's the number?
I love it. Oh, 138, an hour and 38 minutes.
Damn.
That's good.
Well, if you want to follow along, you can follow us on Instagram at gurl.pod.
Yes.
Or follow us individually. Colleen is at Shamama Colleen.
Kelly is Kelevate. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, share.
And we will be posting also on our stories for the submission box for anonymous questions. If you have any questions that you'd like us to answer on the episode, we didn't today because we have 1 hour and 36 minutes. I can't read it.
38, girl.
38 minutes of Enneagram talk, but every other episode we typically do.
Yes, which is good we didn't have questions today because we needed to just
yap about my favorite special interest.
I love it!
Bye!